We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And by our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and check them out at www.crowdplayapp.com for details. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
And welcome everybody to another edition here of Unsportsmanlike Conduct here on the Sports Box here on another Monday evening. Paul McCree alongside Big V, Mike Velarde. What's going on this evening, Big V?
What's up, Paulie? Getting ready to talk some sports as usual here on the box.
That's right, and some postseason sports that are underway. We got the NBA playoffs just started this past weekend, including the Sixers. So 8 games over the weekend. Sixers as already up on the board here, up 1-0. We'll get into some of the NHL playoff stuff that's continuing, MLB regular season, and obviously some golf later on with the major championship this past week. Phil Mickelson, historic win, very shocking, but we'll talk about all that later on. But first, obviously, we'll get into the show sponsor first, Showcase Sports. I did see, actually, just passed this past weekend. Looks like signed, everything's up. The old Napa location, Showcase Sports in the White Horse Pike in Hamilton, for all your local sports paraphernalia and much more. So check them out with the new location. I think they should be opening soon. Did you hear anything about like official opening? I didn't see.
Not an official thing. I'll talk to them tomorrow and see what's going on, but they're very excited for it.
Yeah, I did see the signs up. It looks really nice. So, so we'll get into the Sixers. They played yesterday, game 1 in the 1-8 matchup in the East against the Wizards, coming away with a 125-118 win. It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done to go up 1-0. Next game will be on Wednesday. Basically, they're playing every 2 days. It's typical NBA TV playoff schedule. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I guess when you have a guy like Joel Embiid, the more rest doesn't really hurt you.
He was in foul trouble the whole game yesterday. So.
Yeah, I was going to just say that. Yeah, first half only played 10 minutes. What was there? It was a real ticky-tack foul on the one, but and the refs were. At this point, you figure in the playoffs, you probably want to swallow your whistle a little bit, let the guys play. The physicality is going to ramp up in the playoffs, but it seemed like the refs never want to steal the headlines in the playoffs, and they kind of did yesterday in this one. But Embiid did when he did play in the second half, played 20 of the 30 minutes in the second half. He ends up with 30 points, only 6 rebounds. I guess because Ben was taking all the rebounds yesterday. He had 15 of them. But, down the stretch, anytime they went ISO, it was pretty much they have no answer for him. Anybody in the interior of the Wizards' defense has no answer for him. But Tobias Harris, that's a career night for him, at least in the playoffs, 37 points, 15 of 29 shooting. So, good for him. He rose to the occasion when Embiid sat a lot of the first half, and that's probably the difference was his play offensively.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, listen, they had their full arsenal yesterday for the first time. Even George Hill got in the game, gave him some quality minutes. So, but listen, when they're fully healthy, and you obviously could see that Embiid didn't play a lot of the first half. He got 3 fouls fairly early. Tried to keep him out and not get him into a 4th foul, obviously. But that's their full team. Toby's got to hit those threes. He's got to hit shots. He can have 30-some points, and the rest of the other guys can struggle, and they can still win the game. That's a huge – and I know the Wizards aren't very good, but they do have Westbrook and Beal is probably one of the best backcourts in the NBA. So, they're a dangerous team if you let them hang around. The Sixers have done this. They give up way too many points, and it gets into like a slugfest where you're trying to outscore teams, and giving up 118 points to them is a lot. it's a lot of points. But
Yeah,
that's the game they play. They go back and forth and hope they outscore each other.
yeah, you're right. I think that yesterday was a game that the Wizards prefer because the Wizards aren't very good defensively, and the Sixers are supposed to be, and at least they were in the regular season, one of the better defensive teams in the league. And the reason why they are where they are as the 1 seed. But for yesterday, they trailed a lot of the first half. They were down 1 at the end of 1. Really, it wasn't until that third quarter run where I think it was like 16-4 run in the third quarter, and when the Sixers started to put some separation, finally went up double digits briefly in the third quarter, early fourth quarter to try to put some distance. But even Washington just kind of hung around and never. The Sixers were never really able to pull away. And listen, I understand, Ben had a great defensive day. The statistics support, what he was able to do, defensively, create some turnovers, rebounds, and then transition the other way. We know what he excels at. But I think when you're looking for your number 1 pick to at least give you a little bit, at least make some foul shots.
Right.
He was 0 for 6 yesterday, free throw shooting. A couple of big ones, down the stretch that kind of kept the Wizards in it. So at least make your foul shots. If you're not going to attempt shooting the ball, at least make your foul shots. And that's all we really could ask for. We're not expecting him to, shoot 10 of 15. That's not his game. He's probably only going to take 10 to 12 shots in the playoffs per game. Free throw shooting needs to be paramount for him. It seems like he's taken a step back this year, free throw shooting, when he actually was starting to get a little bit better last year and the year before. And you saw the Wizards intentionally, they couldn't wait to foul him down the stretch. And why not? Play that strategy. Your weakness, foul shooting, you got to foul him.
Well, as Rich says here, the Wizards are averaging 117 a game. I'm not saying that the Wizards aren't a good offensive team. I'm saying that the Sixers need to play a little bit of defense and stop. If you run into a team like the Nets or whoever, and they're scoring 120 points, you're going to lose a game. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to go back and forth with a team like that.
No. But I mean, yesterday they were just able to. They, as you said, Tobias with the 37, and obviously Embiid with the 30. But then some of the bench production. George Hill, I think, underrated performance, 11 points off the bench in 18 minutes. I think he's kind of considered the X factor for this playoff run. I mean, this is the reason why they brought him in at the deadline as one of their lone deadline moves to bring somebody off the bench like that has that veteran experience, playoff experience that can give you that jolt. Dwight Howard, you probably don't want to see him play 18 minutes a game in the playoffs, but he had to yesterday because Embiid was in foul trouble. And then, Matisse Thybulle, obviously, defensively, what he does best, going to give you about 15 minutes a game. I'm kind of surprised that, Furkan only played 5, but you don't want to extend this bench too much. You don't want this guy to, you don't want this rotation to be 5 off the bench, so they're going to have to probably shorten it a little bit. But yesterday, I think, was an exception, and I think Doc Rivers kind of alluded to that with the rotations. When when your best player gets in foul trouble, everything goes out the window that you prepared for all week. Yeah. And Anthony Emilio, who's
he's ripping on Ben right now, which is
on the Wednesday show with Tony Quigley and the gang, the basketball show on Wednesday nights. Doc, I just think right now with Doc. I think deep down inside he knows what Ben is, and he's kind of disappointed in the player that Ben is, because I don't think he wants, Ben to be only posting up 6 points a game. I don't think anybody wants him to just be that guy. Yeah. But I think that to keep him happy, there's no reason to ruffle feathers now in the playoffs. You're trying to make a deep playoff run, trying to win a championship. What he's kind of done all year, he's kind of coddled him a little bit, kind of made some excuses from him from time to time. And I just think that's what they're going to do. I mean, I think when it's all said and done, when this playoff run is over, it ends short of winning it all. And we could be talking about in the offseason Ben being on the trade block. I mean, we could be. So
I think that it's weird. A lot of Sixer fans it's so mixed about what you like in Ben, what you don't like in Ben. You want him to shoot, but they can get something for him. I mean, it's
Yeah.
if they run to go that
Oh,
avenue,
absolutely.
they can.
And I don't think anybody should diminish what he is defensively when he really gets down, buckles down, and really wants to be the best on that side of the ball defending. He is one of the best, and there's no reason. I mean, there's a reason why he's Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and he could win it. I don't think right now it's a lock that Gobert is going to win that award this year. But I think right now for the Sixers, they're going to need him at the very least get to the line. When he does get to the line, I would like for him to be aggressive, but obviously he's not aggressive because he's not a confident foul shooter right now. Because if you were a confident foul shooter, you would be more aggressive in these spots. Pick your spots from time to time. You're not. Yes, I know the offense is still going to run through is still going to run through the MVP candidate and Embiid. There's no question about that, and it should. And then Tobias is going to get his ISO runs as well. But as the third, what should be the third option, but really right now he's not even that. He should at least at times try to be the alpha and drive. But Anthony Meady also saying his game has not progressed at all. There's no question about that. He doesn't care if he can't shoot. Russ can't shoot, and that's correct. Giannis can't shoot either. He still finds a way to get 15. That's all we need. Absolutely right. I mean, Russ. Last night was not one of his better. Yesterday was not one of his better days. And when he was really going well down the stretch, he was actually hitting a couple threes. But we all know he's not a good 3-point shooter.
Right.
Jimmy Butler is a terrible 3-point shooter. But when the games matter most and he rises the occasion, it seems like he still is able to hit one or two.
Trae Young
of those type of things. Right. Trae Young's had a tough year shooting as well. But yesterday he
took the ball.
Yeah, he was big in that game at MSG, and he became a villain.
World's most famous arena.
Yeah. So, hey, listen. I mean, we'll see what happens Wednesday night. The Sixers, I still think, should sweep them. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Wizards win one game, but I think that's all it's going to go, max 5 games. But we will see. But you were just alluding to, obviously, a couple of the other games that we'll highlight quickly here, like the Hawks and Knicks. That was a good one last night at the Garden. This would be the Sixers' opponent in the second round.
Yeah.
And we're getting a little bit of preview of that. The Hawks are actually a slight favorite in this series, even though they don't have home court. And I think we saw why last night because Trae Young is that type of player that the Knicks don't have. Right. I know Julius Randle had a great season.
Yeah.
But he had a really bad game last night. What was it, like 6 of 23 shooting last night?
Small yesterday.
Yeah. So
Alec Burks and Rico were carrying them.
Burke and Derrick Rose off the bench had a big game. Yeah. And Burke led the team with 27 points, Burks, last night. So, and he was, when he was with the Sixers a year or two ago, he was like their 8th or 9th player. So the Knicks have had a nice season here, obviously, and Thibodeau deserves to be a Coach of the Year candidate, and you can see why, because you really look at that roster. That roster is not very good. I mean, R.J. Barrett is like –
hey, Phillies 1-0.
Nice. So R.J. Barrett is like the second or, can be at some point in his career second or third best option on a team, but he's never going to be the number one. Julius Randle's had a nice season, but I think on a really good team, Julius Randle is a good number 2. But right now he's expected to be their guy. At times this year has been an MVP type candidate, but he's not. You could see last night it kind of caught up to him. Maybe the playoff spotlight kind of got to him a little bit. Yeah, and then Rich here, Nelms, saying that, Knicks lost because Randle didn't play like he did all year. Absolutely. As I said, he shot 6 of 23 last night, only 15 points. A guy that was averaging, like 25, 26 in a regular season. And he's going to have to do that here in the playoffs. If not, Trae Young, who's feeling it right now, guys like Bogdanovich. Yeah. Who else they got? Danilo Gallinari. They got a couple of those type of guys. Lou Williams off the bench. Clint Capella. They got a pretty good squad there. I think they got more talent, and you can tell this is why Vegas has them as a slight favorite. I think the Hawks end up winning the series. I thought that going into the series, and it could still go 6 or 7 games. Right. I don't think the Knicks are dead. It's only 1-0, but I think last night obviously showed you what the Knicks don't have, and it's that go-to guy. I know they did. Julius in the regular Randle in the regular season was that guy, but I think when the stakes get high here, you're going to see Julius Randle really show what he really is, and that's just a good number 2 option. And I don't think he could be the number 1.
I agree with that.
And then also, I think we got to touch on the Lakers game a little bit, losing to the Suns. I mean, the Lakers really have just been kind of I want to fall just a little bit short, maybe pathetic here, but for a team that won the NBA championship last year,
Yep.
they don't look anything like that right now. I mean, they're
No.
putting up they got lucky to beat the Warriors last Wednesday in that playing game.
Yep.
Only scored 103 that game. In this day in the NBA, if you're not putting up 110 plus, like that's not good offensive numbers. Lakers only put up 90 yesterday. LeBron, 18 points. Anthony Davis was an even bigger disappointment, 13 points. So unless those two rise to the occasion, I mean, the Lakers got no shot. And the Suns came in this series actually as a slight underdog, right, in the series?
Yeah.
Even though they are the number 2 seed, obviously have home court advantage. Trevor Booker in his playoff debut, 34 for him. So good start for the Suns, and the Lakers got they got to get back and I think they can ill afford going down 0-2. I mean, they wouldn't be dead, but
DeAndre Ayton had a big game last night too.
Yeah,
21 points, I believe.
21 and 16. I'm saying here. So that was that game. Portland upset Denver in the first game, but I really don't think I should call it an upset because don't forget Denver coming in without Jamal Murray for the rest of the season, obviously, he had torn ACL. Jokic, I guess because now the MVP race is wrapped up, he felt like that assist didn't really matter anymore because he was triple-double obsessed.
Right.
He only had 1 assist in the game on Saturday night. Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon didn't do a whole lot either. And then Lillard does what he normally does. Dame down the stretch came up big. Carmelo Anthony actually had a nice first 5 minutes. He put up 12 points off the bench. So I like Portland. I like
the reason why I want them to lose because I did see that. Apparently, Chris Paul grabbed him and he fell down. And he's rolling around on his arm, and his shoulder, and then a fight breaks out because they're trying to go after.
As usual, Harold gets involved. Yeah,
it's such a joke. I'm so over LeBron and the Lakers, and get out of here. If it was such a super team, and him and Anthony Davis and everything, why they won last year in the bubble? They can't win. They can't win now. They're an 8 seed. Come on.
Yeah, and I think in the West, the West is wide open right now. I mean, there's no question about it.
Listen, from a Sixers standpoint, this is the year. This is the year.
Well, Brooklyn's the big mighty hurdle, but yes.
No, I know. Right. I'm saying if the Sixers can somehow get out of the East,
I wish the Sixers were in the West.
I know
because it is wide open, honestly, right now. Yeah,
I'm just saying if the Sixers can somehow get out of the East, you got to love their chances.
Yeah, because I'm just touch on briefly on the West. I mean, the Grizzlies beat the Jazz yesterday in the 1-8 matchup there. Donovan Mitchell's not playing still. He's not happy that he's not playing. What's going on, Gio? So between them and then Mavs beat the Clippers in game 1. Bye, Dada. And then in the 4, so that was a 4-5. The Clippers lost game 1 to the Mavs on the at home. Mm-hmm. I mean, the West is, Portland could very well get to the Western Conference Final. I mean, it's really up for grabs. Anybody can. I would not be surprised. I don't think Memphis is going to get to the Western Conference Final, but
no, I mean, you got a bunch of teams that have a chance to go though.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the East, everybody still thinks it's just the top 3 in the East. With the Sixers, Brooklyn, and Milwaukee. Milwaukee had a struggle though in game 1, needed overtime to beat Miami. And I think that series is going to wear down Milwaukee. I think this is going to be the problem with Milwaukee. Problem is that they win this series, and it's probably going to go 6 or 7, and then they're going to play Brooklyn, and Brooklyn's not going to really break a sweat in their series against Boston. So that's going to be the problem, is that they're going to run into Brooklyn, and Brooklyn's going to be probably more fresh, and I think that's going to be it. And the Sixers' path is, getting through here the Wizards and probably, obviously taking on the winner of the Knicks Hawks. So I think a lot of people, I would say 9 out of 10 right now, right? Wouldn't you think it's Sixers and the Nets here on a collision course?
Yeah. I like I said, move into the East. Like I watched a little bit of that Miami game yesterday.
Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, it was the first playoff game on Saturday.
Yeah, listen, the Heat are going to keep things close. It's going to be a good series. Like you said, Jimmy Butler just takes over games. They have Duncan Robinson. They have a decent supporting cast to where it's always like the Heat always find these guys and find a way to try and stay in the series. But I can't for the life of me. The Celtics definitely aren't the team that they used to be, as far as scaring me. If they can get through, if the Sixers can get through the first two rounds, I see them going pretty far away. They got to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure.
How long was it since their last game? Didn't they have almost a week off?
Yeah, it was Sunday. Yeah, it was week. It was a week.
That's what I'm
last
saying.
Game was last Sunday that they played yesterday.
I don't want to hear anything about the Embiid and the load management. Like they have had plenty of time. They've had plenty of time off.
And they're playing every 2 days for the first couple games in this series. They don't play till Wednesday now.
Right.
So tonight is Milwaukee and coming up against Miami at the bottom of the hour, 7:30, around 7:45 tip off there, and then Portland and Denver in Game 2 later tonight, a little after 10 o'clock. For those that stay up for that. Briefly with hockey, we'll touch that briefly here before we get into baseball. What's your impressions on? You've watched more hockey, I'm sure, than I have far. So, what's your impressions on the playoffs so far here?
Well, my whole thing is if once the Flyers were out, not that I'd lose interest, but
I lose interest. I'm not even gonna hide it.
I watch, but I'm not. Listen, you got the Canadians stole a game from the Maple Leafs. Do I think it's going to be a series? I don't, honestly. I think the Maple Leafs should. It seems like every year Toronto in the playoffs are just not. I don't know. They're just not ready. I'm actually surprised with the Tampa Bay Florida series because I thought Florida would put up more of a fight, and they might go down tonight and lose 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
So that was and I called this Islander series, and everybody told me I was crazy when I said the Islanders could win this series. Oh, Pittsburgh's old, okay?
2-2 going tonight.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is not the same Pittsburgh that they've been. So, two games of 2 in that series.
Yep.
You have other teams tonight. Very surprising, Winnipeg. I believe Edmonton was up 4-1 last night at one point, and they lost.
Yeah.
And
Winnipeg scored 3 goals in the third. I think actually 2 goals in a space. I think the game late. And
I believe we all called that the Golden Knights would either win in 4 or 5 in that series, and that looks like it's going.
What is it? 3-1? 3-1 Vegas? Yeah.
3-0. Oh yeah, 3-1. 3-1.
It's 3-1. Vegas has back-to-back shutouts, I believe, though, in that series. Yeah. So that's that, and the only other one is that Nashville Carolina series. 2 back-to-back double overtime games that Nashville won to tie that series up.
Evgeny Malkin just scored as soon as I said they suck and they're old.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so
that's that with the hockey, and now we'll get into baseball here. I think the headline so far. I mean, we'll get into the Phillies here a little bit, obviously, as we always do. But I think the headline is the 2 teams in the American League East that are red hot right now: Tampa and the Yankees. Boston's holding their own and staying steady, but now Boston actually, after Tampa's 11th straight win this afternoon. Tampa now has a half-game lead up on Boston for the first time, I think, all year. A team other than Boston is first place in the American League East.
I believe the Yankees have won 6 in a row, too. They have had 5 starts where nobody scored on their starting pitching.
Yeah, they have had a great starting pitching run. I mean, Garrett Cole right now is the American League Cy Young Award favorite.
We kind of called that.
He's having a tremendous year. 6 in a row, as you said. They just swept the really good White Sox team over the weekend at home. They're playing very well. After a slow start, they're starting to pick it up as we get towards Memorial Day. And Tampa, can you ever be surprised with a team like this? I mean, they started off slow too, and here they go win 11 in a row, and now they're 30-19. I mean, this is a team that they just traded their shortstop last week. Willie Adames got a couple. They traded him to Milwaukee. Well, because they only have 2 other shortstops in their system that you can just fill right in. Wander Franco is the top prospect in baseball. Is waiting in the wings. He'll be up by mid-season. Tampa is the best farm system in baseball right now, I think, or at least top 3. And they're coming off a year they just went to the World Series and can very well make another surprise run this year. I shouldn't say it would be surprised because we could see it happen. Rosarena starting to pick it up. I got on my fantasy team. That's why. I mean, that's all I really have. Him and Acuna when Acuna's not hurt. So, I mean, playing excellent baseball. Boston, we thought this year was going to be, that weird transition year for them. And here they are off to a fast start. And I think some of that has to do with, people. Yeah, Alex Cora. Did he cheat? Did he know what was going on a couple years ago with the sign stealing stuff? Probably. But he's a good manager. And you bring him back after last year, they didn't really have a manager. And they brought him back with open arms, and they're having a great season so far. Yep. When, really, if you look at their roster, they got some good bats. Devers is really good. Bogarts has always been solid for them. We just saw the Phillies just played them over the weekend, so we know the Red Sox got great offense, and they got some decent pitching. But Alex Cora, I think, is the X factor as far as, bring him back, and, they're actually listening to him and playing well. That American League East, I think everybody knows the Orioles are going to be terrible. Yeah. But and I just saw the Blue Jays have lost 6 in a row. Wow. So they've tailed off, and the Blue Jays, who I think people still think are going to be in that conversation in this division, they're going to have to figure it out. They could probably afford a big losing streak, especially the way some of these other teams are playing. Yep. Absolutely. In the division. But to get to the Phillies, I mean, what can you say right now? I mean, this is a National League East that, if you look at it, the Mets, when they looked like they were starting to make some headway up, try to put some distance on themselves, all of a sudden now they lost 2 in a row. But they got more injuries. James McCann, their catcher, starting at first base tonight. That's how banged up they are. Jeez. So he's starting first base for the first time in his career. So I'm assuming Alonso's banged up a little bit right now. I know that already. DeGrom's coming back, I think, this week. But who's on the DL? McNeil's on the DL. Conforto's on the DL. So they're banged up, and just seem like when they start winning a little bit, then they take a couple steps back. Phillies are the same way. They just snapped a 4-game losing streak yesterday with, quite frankly, one of the lone bright spots of this season has been Zach Wheeler. I mean, if we're going to touch on a positive, I mean, what's Zach Wheeler's just meant so much to them right now. I mean, if you look at his numbers, he's 4-2, 2.38 ERA, 78 strikeouts, 68 innings. He's phenomenal. They said it's basically the start of this season rivals what Roy Halladay started his season in 2011. He's basically one of that. So Aaron Nola hasn't even started off like this in his career. So far, year 2 of a 5-year contract for Zach Wheeler, and it looks like a pretty good contract so far. So if we're going to touch on a positive before we get into all the negatives. That is one of them. And Odubel Herrera is the other one. I'm sorry, we have to touch on that. Hit 368 in his last 17 games going into the night. Yeah. Will that continue? I don't think so, but it's good that he finally has made the center field position a little more manageable because the other center fielders have been such a joke that he still ends up being the best one. And we got a couple questions here, or a couple comments, I should say. Phillies 500 team, and Harper is clearly injured. Chris Wilson saying that. I don't know. I mean, it's weird because we were talking about it, me with Velarde before the show, about, Girardi said he's not injured. He said he wasn't sitting him again today because of the shoulder. He's just sitting him because just another day of a mental rest after he's 2 for his last 24 or 2 for his last 25. I don't know. I don't mind him sitting yesterday because you had a tough lefty in Eduardo Rodriguez pitching. But today, I know another lefty was pitching today, but you got to put him back out there. I mean, he's making $300+ million. You already have Didi and JT on the IL not playing. So tonight you have Herrera hitting second, Segura hitting third. Those guys you don't want hitting in those slots in the lineup. So I don't know. And Brian Attard saying, so it wasn't Kapler's fault. Obviously it wasn't. Obviously it wasn't.
I'm gonna hit you with some breaking news.
Go ahead.
We have breaking news here on the Sports Box. For those of us who know and have watched our show, a Hamiltonian is now making his way up the ranks. LT Schruble is now a part of the Syracuse Mets. I just looked at the roster while you were talking. J.D. Davis is there. Seth Lugo is there. So he's actually starting to – and I'm assuming Pete Alonso will be on a rehab assignment there at some point. When he gets done, he hurt his hand, yeah. LT Schruble is now on the AAA roster for the Mets. And he just got called up last week, I believe, to high.
Yeah, he was with the Brooklyn Cyclones.
Yeah, the Cyclones.
Right?
Now, word has gotten to us here at the Sports Box that he is now a part of the Syracuse Mets. So I don't think he'll be in Florida anymore. I think he's going to be in upstate New York somewhere. So great job for LT. You know, the whole minor league season got screwed up last year. Didn't even have a season last year. I talked to him a couple times. I went over to his house. He used his batting cage a couple times with my son. A fantastic individual, just like Joe Gatto. Mm-hmm. You know, local guys who you want to see make it, and we're happy for him, and we can't wait to see him possibly get a debut at some point soon.
Yes, couldn't agree more. I've known LT for almost 10 years now, probably. Always a hard worker. Defying the odds. But hey, I mean, when you get to this point in AAA, I mean, you usually do defy the odds. But I think more for him because he was like a 30th something, 29th round draft pick. So I mean, you come really from not much expectations, but I think you just have that, not really a chip on your shoulder, but just like you don't have nothing to lose. Like nobody's expecting you to get to the big show. Absolutely. So I think when you play loose like that, and it was unfortunate for all the minor leaguers last year, did not have a season at all. Yeah. To build off of last year. You know, he started off I think he got drafted in 2019, so he played that half season in 2019, didn't play at all last year, and then obviously just started playing again this year. And he's got great speed, and speed's a killer. And when he gets on the base paths, he's a menace. So good for him. And I think has he been playing center field? I believe he's been in the outfield. Yes. Yeah. So he played mostly infield, and he was shortstop, second base at high school, and I think he ended up playing shortstop at Felician when he settled in college. So great for him, and we'll continue to keep track of him. He been on the Sports Box before, I believe. Twice, I think. Twice, was it? I believe so. Yeah, him and Gatto, I think, have been on our show twice each. So I'll try and get him on again. I'll text him later tonight and see if he can give us a couple updates and see what's going on. Yeah, obviously we understand with him being busy this time of year, but it would be good to have him on sometime this summer for sure. Absolutely. So I see Chris Wilson's on here. He's a Phillies fan. I'm going to throw you out a trivia question tonight, Paulie. So in the Phillies history, I was looking at Gold Glove awards. Obviously, Mike Schmidt has the most Gold Gloves on the team in Phillies history with 10 Gold Gloves. Most of them were in succeeding years. He won it from 76 all the way through 84. Did not win in 85, but won in 86. Can you tell me, you or any of the fans, who on the Phillies has the second most amount of Gold Gloves? I think it may be a surprise to some of you. I know what your answer is going to be.
I have a feeling I know what your answer's going to be.
All right, I have two guesses here. Are we talking about somebody within this last generation of players?
What do you mean by generation? What's a generation to you?
Like, all right, not so somebody from like the 2000s.
It is not.
Okay, then it's not him then.
No, I know who you're thinking it was too.
Yeah.
Well, there's two people. There's the person who I'm looking for. Then there's two others that I figure a lot of the people would try and guess.
Okay.
So.
Right, I feel people like my age or younger would guess that guy.
Yeah.
But he's only won 2. Okay. I was thinking about somebody else, but he's only won 2.
I don't know who you were thinking about, but that's not who I was thinking about.
I'm talking about somebody in the 80s. I was thinking Boa, but he's only won 2 Gold Gloves.
Yeah, he's only won 2.
He was a really good shortstop, but he's only won, because it's still he didn't do enough offensively, and people still think of it as like you still have to put up some type of offensive numbers to win a Gold Glove, but he was a 2-time Gold Glover.
I gotta give you another stat. This guy has won 8 Gold Gloves. 7 of them were in the same years that Schmidt won a Gold Glove.
Oh.
Yeah. It is Chris. It's not Scott Rowland. That's who I thought Paul was going to give. He had 3.
Gary Maddox?
It is Gary Maddox. He won 8 Gold Gloves. And the next person, I was actually surprised about. It's not Rowland. Him, Manny Trio had 3. There is one person who had 4 Gold Gloves for the Phillies. Who is that? He is in your generation.
Rollins, right?
It is Rollins. He had 4.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he had 4.
I think it was 4 consecutive years in that stretch.
I didn't realize it was 7, 8, 9, and 12.
Oh. He didn't win in 10 and 11. Okay.
Yeah. 7, 8, 9, and 12. He won.
I'm curious.
When did he win the MVP? 11?
No, 07 was his MVP.
7. Okay. So it was the first. So he won a Gold Glove and the MVP in the same year.
So 10 and 11, I bet you was Tulowitzki probably.
I got another crazy stat for you here. I believe since 2012, the Phillies only have 1 Gold Glove winner. Can you name that person?
That's pretty sad, but
since 2012, they only have 1 Gold Glove winner. It was in 2019. Can you name that person?
JT?
Uh-huh.
JT.
That is JT Realmuto, freaking catcher, 2019.
Did they even name awards last year for this?
I'm not sure.
Because of the shortened season, they shouldn't have, but who knows?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, JT won in 2019, which is not a surprise. How many Gold Gloves does he have? I think
I don't know how many he has. Just tells me how many he has for the Phillies.
Oh. I thought he won at least 1 or 2 for Miami, but I
might. Let me see. Let's see here.
Usually,
not sure. Take me a while to look that up, but just some interesting stats there for you. JT, Chris got JT, yeah.
Oh, he's only won 1 Gold Glove. Okay.
That was our Stump Fan segment. He's only won 1?
He's only won 1, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, they need him back in the lineup and healthy because he obviously hasn't been playing. He's been playing hurt too, and they said he was basically. But they said
it always comes back to like I was listening to who was it on the radio today? Because the guy from MLB.com. He's always on the Phillies radio.
Zalecki?
Who?
Todd Zalecki?
That's it. So I was going to say his name starts with a Z. He was on today giving stats. He's like, listen, Phillies were 3rd in slugging percentage last year. This year they're 10th. They were 5th in scoring last year. Now they're 21st. So the offense in general has taken a big step back. But what they're getting this year that they haven't gotten is solid starts from Eflin, solid starts from Wheeler. Nola hasn't been even pitching his best, and they're still getting wins, which is a good thing. But Harper's got to start. These guys got to start hitting the ball. I mean, usually it's the offense and not the pitching staff. Now, I know I'll even throw some good stuff at the bullpen because Coonrod's been good.
I was just going to say that.
Been pretty good. Neris here and there, he's not terrible, but he's okay.
Bradley just came back and he's got to get in the rhythm. He gave up a run yesterday, and I think he gave up a couple runs as the other outing. So he's got to have to settle down and figure it out because if they can get him going again off the injury, their bullpen should be fine. I mean, Coonrad's, as you said, has had a very, very nice. It was a good get for the Phillies. Alvarado, when he's not all over the place, is unhittable.
Right.
But you get a little bit of wild thing stuff from him.
Yep.
So they got, guys in the back end of their bullpen, much more established roles in their back end than they had last year. But, we'll see. I don't know. And then
another run.
No, defensively, they've been a mess. That's really when you just give up the outs that they've been giving up. Bohm has just been we know he's not going to be
just an RBI double, and he's been okay this year, which has been good. Finally, so a little bit of life from him.
He leads the league he leads the team, I should say, in RBIs.
Yeah,
but
a little bit of life though, because he had a tough year last year. I mean, he's still bad. He
still strikes out way too much, and he's not walk. I guess his approach this year is not to walk as much as he's been in the past. Like McCutcheon's walked a bunch out of the leadoff spot this year, which is good. You need him to.
Right.
But Hoskins is not walking like he used to. Maybe they're trying to really get him to be more aggressive at the plate, and that's why he's striking out a lot more. It looks like it's a whole different approach for him, and it looks like it just paid off with that. You said that RBI double that he just drove in. But Bohm has been it's been a real struggle for him. Seems like he's tardy on a lot of they're challenging him with fastballs, and right now it looks like you challenge him fastballs on the outside, and he's just not catching up to them.
Right.
96, 97 mile an hour fastballs. He's having a hard time catching up, and he's striking out a bunch too at the moment. So that's been his issue, and they got to get him right. And it's really now his job to the league's kind of figured out some of his holes in his swing after last year. In his first 48 games, he was tremendous. Hit 330 plus. Rookie of the year candidate, even though Cronenworth ended up getting it in the short season. I think if the season would have went a little bit farther, I think Bohm was making a potential charge to be the rookie of the year last year. So, we see that he's got a whole bunch of talent, and obviously he was a rookie or one of the top Phillies prospects for a reason, but they got to get him right. And the other concern is the other prospect, Spencer Howard, who right now looks like just a reliever to me. He looks like a guy that, he throws 96, 97 for a couple innings, and then his fastball tails all the way off to like 92, 93, second time around the order, and then he starts getting teed off on. So that's been the problem with Spencer Howard. And they're going to have to figure out, it was like almost like a Vince Velasquez situation where we thought for years Velasquez just belongs in the pen, I hope we're not dealing with this with Spencer Howard, because this whole big deal about we didn't trade Spencer Howard for any of these other potential gets we could have had the last couple of years because he was untouchable. They basically, according to Zolecki today, because I did hear that interview, they kept Spencer Howard over Sixto Sanchez. And now I know Sixto Sanchez is hurt at the moment and has not pitched yet this year and has had arm issues in the past. But we saw Sixto Sanchez when he came up last year. He looked like a scary ace-like pitcher that Spencer Howard has not shown anywhere near to be the guy so far. So Phillies better get that one right as far as that talent evaluation goes. Spencer Howard versus him. I mean, we're not giving up on Howard. He's only 24 years old, whatever. But he's up right now. He's still a better option than Chase Anderson or Matt Bourne. We're tired of looking at those two. But I think they're going to have to figure out whether or not, I understand he's still stretching out. He only had a 75 pitch count the other night. Mm-hmm. But when he is ready to ramp it up, he better be a guy that can at least give you 5 or 6 innings. I mean, it's really what we're looking for this year. He he's only expected to be a number 4, number 5 starter. There's no pressure on him. They have their top 3 locked in, right now. So they don't need him to be Eflin or Nola or Wheeler. Those are the 3 guys. So
just texted LT. This is hot off the press, baby. So he said yes, he's in Syracuse now. And he said right now it's mostly because they have a lot of guys who are injured, but he's going to play his tail off and see if he could stay there. So that's pretty much why he was promoted. But he's taking it in stride as, listen, I'm going to try my best if I get out there to do what I got to do. Hopefully I can stick around. So he said we could have him on at some point. They're off on Mondays, apparently. So, which is nice because that's what our shows are. So we'll try and get him on.
All right, beautiful.
Well, it's always a good thing to see local talent. I mean, we're going to have Chase Petty from Mainland. He'll be actually in Hamilton Wednesday. I'm going to try and get my son to get a ball signed by him. So who knows?
Cool.
Where
he's been really friendly about that this year.
Top 20, top 25 in this draft coming up.
Yeah.
Just pitched against Bosco last night at Trenton Thunder Stadium, and they won 3-2. So I believe he had 12 or 13 Ks and gave up a run. So, listen, local talent around here, and especially the kid from Bishop Hughes, the Salamento, big left-handed pitcher. They're talking about him getting drafted. So, being a coach, I realize it, but there is a lot of talent in the South Jersey area. And these kids, we saw last year with Steven Restuccio and a bunch of other guys, or 2 years ago, getting looks from Major League Baseball teams, and it's phenomenal. These guys are throwing bullpens before their games, and the cameras and all the attention that they get is just phenomenal. It's good to be around.
Yeah, and I think obviously, you could say that Mike Trout started this whole, state New Jersey movement of, scouts are now looking at this area, and you can see there's a lot of talent in this area, and you're starting to see more and more of it as far as, then obviously Joe Gatto, who's currently in AAA for the Texas organization, and we wish him obviously the best of luck. I know he's probably disappointed that he had a tough spring when he had a chance to make the big league club, but he's, the door's not closed on him yet. And obviously we hope that he gets that opportunity and starts, really getting that confidence and groove, and he can get up and live the dream and the goal of making it to the big club sometime this season. And obviously, as you just said with LT, Struble from Hamilton in AAA right now. Yeah, maybe he's, fortunate just because of some of the injuries, but, great attitude to have. When he gets the opportunity, and if he gets a chance to play while he's up there, in Syracuse, to make the most of it and really make that impression and make that decision really tough for them to demote you again. So I think that's really.
I'm looking at Gatto stats right now. He's 0-1. He's five games.
Okay. Starts or release appearances, right?
He's got 2 holds. So 8 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, none earned. So. He's got a 1 point. He's got a 1.92. It looks like, and a 0.84 WHIP, which is not bad.
It's really good. How many strikeouts?
That's what I'm looking at. These advanced stats are weird. Strikeouts. He's got 10 Ks in 8 innings. That's good.
That's good. I mean, obviously, I would like to watch or see some of the highlights to really see that, but I think that's really good. Yeah, it's a really good sign.
He only has 2 walks. That's good.
So, give yourself that opportunity. I mean, Texas is not a good team. Somebody gets hurt or, worst comes to worst, it's, extended rosters later in the season. You get that chance to come up, and I hope that happens. I think, the way things are looking right now at this moment, that's a good start to his minor league season.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just keep plugging away. So that's very good to hear. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll get finally on this last because we only got a little bit to go here. Might as well talk about PGA Championship. Phil Mickelson winning it. Oldest major champion at 50 years old, going to be 51 next month. I mean, it's a huge surprise because he had really no form coming in.
Let's just put it this way. On Friday when he was, leading, I said to myself, could he possibly put it together for 4 days? I didn't think so.
I didn't think so, yeah.
You'd be a fool if somebody said, oh, he's winning this thing and thought so. because you just didn't think he'd put it together for 4 straight days, even though it's not like he doesn't know how to play golf. Okay, but it's just it's the whole thing of being in the major, being in that moment. Guys like Koepka, these younger guys could bomb the ball. And you're thinking to yourself, I'm watching Sunday, and I go, this guy just hit a drive 366. He hit the longest drive there of the day. And he's 50 years old. DeChambeau hit one 20 yards less than him. So he was definitely feeling some adrenaline going into that final day.
Well, it shows you also he's in great shape for his age. There's no question about it. He really takes care of himself, and because you question somebody at that age, can they from a physical standpoint, can they endure 4 rounds like that at a very tough golf course like the Ocean Courses at Kiwi Island, and as lengthy as it is? Somebody like that can. Really, you thought just from those stats and everything going in the week, you thought Phil, like, okay, if he makes a cut, that's great. But he put it all together. Yeah, he put it all together. He held off, who always shows up in the majors, Brooks Koepka, who's still doesn't appear to be right with that knee injury. He faded yesterday, and Phil. He had that chip in. I forget where was that. Was that on the front 9? He had that chip in.
Yeah.
He just executed. His wedge game is just tremendous. Even when he's not doing well everywhere else, you always know his wedge game is going to be there. But he just his short game was much better than Koepka's, and he made more putts. So
it's looking at the stats, you see. The top 3 finishers, Mickelson, Koepka, Louis Oosthuizen, all shot over par yesterday, and they still held on to their top 3. It's weird. You never see that. You figure somebody. It was almost like in those final 2 groups.
Yeah,
the people that went out early in the day, they couldn't even catch them. So it wasn't like somebody who went out at 12, 1 o'clock. Was pushing the leaderboard. I mean, Streelman was the only one that was close to it, and he couldn't get it either. So it was almost like that last 2 pairings that went out, they could have shot 3 over and still won. You don't really see that in majors.
Yeah, he faded. Streelman faded down the stretch. I don't even think he finished under par. But Oosthuizen was he tied for second with Koepka. So I mean, it just and that crowd, that sea of people. Awful. People were like, "Oh, it was a security breach. Should have never happened." But I think it's just people so excited to be finally outside again and having that freedom of that sense that COVID's over, for those that are vaccinated. So it was great to see that, and Koepka didn't like it. He was complaining about people in his knee, but I mean, I don't know.
Well, is it a true story that Mickelson turned him down for an autograph when he was 8 years old? Did you hear that story?
I heard something like that. I didn't get the whole. Is that when he was 8 or something?
Yeah, 7 years old or something.
I don't know. Who knows? It's funny though how much. Koepka's like 30 years old. He's 50 years old. So at 8 years old, he was Phil was golfing at that point. So
don't worry. I think Brooks Koepka's already. He's got Jenna Sims to go through at night. I think he's okay with that.
I think he's fine. Yeah. But. Great. You got that, and then the Memorial Tournament's always a good one in a couple of weeks. That's Jack Nicklaus's course tournament in Dublin, Ohio, and then you got the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, which is another Phil special. And I think Phil went to 50. He went to like 50-1 now at the U.S. Open when he had 1 point.
I believe I don't know if this is right. I believe he was 20,000 to 1 to win this tournament. So he put 100 on me, won 20 grand.
Was it that high?
I believe it was. Mostly a lot of guys who are not in there are like 10, 20,000. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, he is now. Yeah, 50-1. I think he was 80. He was like 80-1 before yesterday's win. Dustin Johnson's favorite at 10-1, then John Rahm, then Bryce. Bryson. Rory's never going to win another major. I'm saying it right now, so never bet him again.
Yeah,
he was the favorite this week because of he won the Wells Fargo, and I know he's won the PGA before.
Tell you what, and that just goes to show you how hard golf is from week to week. You got guys who weren't even sniffing Spieth, Dustin Johnson, Morikawa. These guys weren't even sniffing the front page of the leaderboard. You had guys like Phil Mickelson. It's crazy. It's crazy from week to week in golf.
And more golf. I'm not sure if the golf guys are on this week, but I know Dave's busy this time of year with the golf course and his pro duties. But
Dave has said that he wants to do the show, so I think we're waiting on Mikey G.
Mikey G. Did you see that one last thing before we wrap up here soon? Did you see the top pro finisher was like +4, which was really good.
I did see that, and the other guy was like +12, I believe.
Yeah. So he blew him out by a wide mile for the pro award.
They do that.
Yeah. So one of the top pros in America, one of the whatever golf course he's a pro at, finishes 4 over. So good for him. So that is it for tonight. Thanks for everybody for joining us, commenting here on Unsportsmanlike Conduct on this Monday. As we said, congrats again to LT Struble making it to AAA Syracuse Mets. Hopefully we can get him on in a couple of Mondays from now.
Yep.
I know next Monday is Memorial Day, so I don't think we're going to have a show.
No.
You're already saying no.
Brian T.
Yeah, we're not doing this on Memorial Day. It's a holiday, so
we're gonna be grilling and cooking out and jumping in Brian T's pool.
You're already inviting yourself over?
Nah, I don't invite myself anywhere anymore. I used to.
But baseball season winding down soon for you, I know.
We got Wednesday. We got Mainland at home.
We got the Ocean City game Friday, right?
We got Ocean City at the lake, and then it's looking like right now, Tuesday or Wednesday, the playoff game, we are going to be hosting, it looks like Tom's River East, who is 5-11 this year.
Okay. So you're going to be like a top 3 seed?
We're going to be 6. We're going to be 6. If we would have beaten Williamstown or somebody, we would have jumped up. But it looks like, tentatively, because the bracket isn't out yet, but it looks like we'll have Ocean City on our side, but Mainland, Egg Harbor Township, a lot of the other big schools are going to be on the other side of the bracket, so we wouldn't see them until the championship. So,
all right, very good.
Tom's River East next week for the first playoff game.
Very good. Well,
we'll see.
We'll keep track of that and much more here. So thanks, everybody, tonight for joining us here on Sportsmanlike Conduct. Paul McCree again and Big V, Mike Velarde. We will see you next time. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend.
See you. Thank you for watching the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Show on the Sports Box. Please remember to follow us on all of our social media outlets. On Facebook at Sportsbox Show, Twitter at Sportsbox Show, Instagram at The Sportsbox Show. Find us on YouTube and join Outside the Box, our Facebook sports discussion group. The Sports Box is brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And also our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use promo code THEBOX at sign up for 10 free points. Thank you for joining us.